Hey guys, in this video I'm showing you how I did braids going into a curly ponytail. I started off on wash blow dried hair and I'm using the middle part. As you can see, I'm doing a middle part to create the center braids in the middle. And then I do have a video on how I pre-parted each part where I cornrowed her natural hair. These two braids will not change. You could do 4 braids, but I'm only doing 2 because the ponytail is going to be curly. It's not like I'm going to be leaving the braids out. So yeah, I'm just braiding these 2 down. You guys can head over later after watching this tutorial and see how I did the foundation. But here is it pre-parted. Now I'm starting off the braids. I am using stitch rings as a way to assist me with the stitching as far as making a stitch braid. If you are not good at stitch braiding, you do not have to use these rings. But if you want to learn, this is the perfect video. I start off braiding like with 3 pillars. As you guys know, I braid it like twice. Then I start to stitch in from the left and then stitch in from the right. And I grab hair and then I braid a little bit and then I stitch in again. You do want to use a lot of product. I do want to say that off camera, I did mold this part with braiding gel. Everything that I'm going to be using will be in the description bar below. But yes, I started off with molding each side with braiding gel, and that is what makes it easy to stitch and slice through her hair. Her hair is thick, so it can be a little bit more difficult to do stitching on thick hair, but it's not really as difficult as long as you are being somewhat heavy with product. I know a lot of girls are like, I don't like to use a lot of braiding gel. It could clog my pores and etc. But to be honest, stitch braids are all about product. So you have to come with a heavy, generous amount on each section to really get that stitch look. And I just go in left and right and I just braid all the way down. To be honest, when you're doing stitch braids, it's really easy to help you stay in the center of the part because you are grabbing from left to right into the center. So that's one thing I can say about stitch braids. Some people naturally stitch and braid, which I do too, not as much when the part is this large. So usually I can naturally stitch if the braids were smaller and I just naturally stitch. I wouldn't even use the braiding rings as a guide. But when you are parting like thick widths of for a cornrow like this, I would advise you to use a stitch assistant tool ring like this. And you see, I always start off with 3 pillars, do a couple turns of braiding, and then I start to add in the hair. I do not feed in any extensions at all when it comes to her cornrows. I want to make that very clear. If your client has more of a finer type of hair and you want the braids to be a little bit more meaty, I would suggest adding in very small pieces of braiding hair. But if you are okay with her braids being natural size like I am with her, because again, she does have thick hair, so her braid ends up being thicker the closer I get to the center of her head. I would not advise you to use any braiding hair. If your client have like a thick, medium type of volume or density in their hair. Again, if their hair is very thin and you are trying to, or fine, and you're trying to create braids that are more long lasting and just more structure as far as density of the braid, again, add very small pieces, build the braid to the size that you want, and then I wouldn't add as much, and I would get like a shorter length, like more like a 42-inch extension to do that, because again, her ponytail will be a sewn down curly ponytail that I will be showing you guys a lot later. If you are finding value in this video, make sure you hit that subscribe button, thumbs up this video, and hit that notification bell so you know when I'm posting. I try to post weekly of just clips of braiding of more detail for you guys to see, and just full tutorials as well for male, female, and kids, and natural hairstyles. So if you are interested in any of those, make sure you hit that notification bell and you are subscribed to this channel. And yeah, here I am just braiding all of her braids down. Um, if you want to do smaller parts as far as like wavy parts, you can also do that as well. But I find it to be that this size for wavy parts really helps with show the design of how the braids will be. Again, you don't have to do wavy parts to create a braided ponytail with curly, a braided up ponytail with a curly um extension ponytail. You can do any design that you want to do. It doesn't necessarily have to be wavy parts, but that is what I am demonstrating right here. If you want to see a video of maybe like some smaller feed-in braids with the curly ponytail and see how to do that, just let me know and comment below if you would like to see that. But again, you can do whatever design you desire for this entire ponytail and then do the same method that I'm going to be using as far as like how I add in the curly hair and do the braid down of the braids and all that. You can start from there and just watch from there as well. But yeah, I just want to show you guys. And if you notice when it comes to these wavy parts, if how I parted it is, if it starts off small, like from, I would say, a certain part of the part, you want to go large, then big, then large, then big. I kind of do a pattern that I more explain in the video of me pre-parting. But you see, I am just complementing the other braid as far as size. And it wasn't difficult to create the wavy parts, but I just think it looks so cool. I did it on my son doing some straight backs. So if you want to see wavy parts going to some straight backs, just head on over there to that video once you're done watching this, and you can see how I created that hairstyle. But the wavy parts is pretty much like if one part is wider at certain parts of it, then you go in smaller. So if, for instance, this part, it started off small and now you see like the width is getting wider, and then it's going to go back. The further I get more into her ponytail, it's going to get small again as far as like the part. So I hope that makes sense. And I do want to say that you want to make sure you got a strong neck when you're getting ponytail in general, a braided ponytail. Because you are going to be holding your head in positions that may not be as comfortable. I do want to say that you definitely want to be able to bend over in a way so that way it doesn't hurt as much. I do use my body to kind of keep her in place and so she isn't like moving off, so the braids can be nice and structured. But if you are having a hard time like holding your head down for a long period of time, this would not be the hairstyle for you. And I'm not saying it's because I'm stitching it, just in general. When you are getting a braided ponytail, you have to be prepared for holding your head forward and looking basically down at the ground, and being able to hold your neck up, because that is the type of hairstyle that this is. I started off doing her back section first because I understand that it can be a little bit of a challenge when getting your hair done. But I also tried to go left to right. So you guys probably seen me at one part start off in the middle, and then I went to the left of her and did that braid. Then I went back on the other side to kind of get her neck like some time to like move around and not really like be in a crook, like have her neck muscles being super duper tight. Also, after every braid, I also let her move her head around for the most part. Or like if I wasn't completely ready to start the next braid in the back, I would say you can hold your head up and just keep your head up until I'm ready and I'm about to begin the next braid. But this is another reason why I pre-parted, because if I would have been braiding, then parting, then braiding, then parting, it would have felt like a lot of tension just in one spot. So that is another reason why I pre-parted before I actually braided, because I would mold her hair with the gel with her head sitting up. And if you want to see a live video of me doing this hairstyle, you can just head on over to the live section of this of the category on my channel, and you will see me doing this hairstyle live, and you will see that in between each braid she was holding her head a certain way. Like I wasn't making her stay in one spot. But the reason, again, why I pre-parted is so that I could just put the braiding gel on, mold it while her head is sitting up, and then when it was time to braid it, as far as the back section, I would make her hold her head down, and then I would just braid, and then be done. Stitch braids do take a while, and it all depends on your braider or you as the braider. It can take a while. I do know that I have this in a fast motion, so it gives the impression that stitch braid goes very fast, and that's the complete opposite. Looks, it's definitely not giving what you guys are seeing. It definitely took a little minute to do these stitches, but the more you get into the groove, if you are learning how to stitch, the faster you do get. So as you guys can see, I'm moving pretty swiftly, even though I do have this sped up. But again, a lot of foundation work happens with this. Like, I molded the hair down, and you can kind of see from side to side that I molded it down. You do see me pulling against like the braid as I braid. I will be showing you me pulling against the braid while I'm braiding, because it can be really tight, and I wanted to make sure that it wasn't tight. So you see right here, I'm using a rat tail. I slide it in, and I kind of like loosely pull the opposite way of where I'm braiding to make sure that it's not too tight around her perimeter. When you are doing any braids, you want to make sure that your braids are not tight but firm. It is a difference, because when it's tight, it will cause little bitty bumps, and those bumps are indication that your hair follicle is about to be pulled out, and it will itch. And then before you know it, you scratch it sometimes out of place. So I like to always be mindful of my clients' edges and just hair health in general. I don't like to pull it too tight, just firm and neat. But the braiding gel definitely helps with, not making it super tight as well. So that's why I want to keep saying that the foundation and you molding down the actual section really matters when doing any type of stitch or any type of braid. So yeah. But I am just braiding, and I'm almost done. I believe I'm on the last braid of the stitch braid, and then I'm going to move into how I added in the curly ponytail and why I did certain things this certain way. So I do want to say that I am sewing her ponytail down, and you might be thinking, well, you're not using human hair. I'm not, but it's because I don't really trust glue. I am using this Camille Rose to first go over her entire